All right. We're chopping it up here in South Central with Ras Bongo, and he is going to present something to you that he calls the roll call. Today is February 27th, the next to last day of that so-called Black History Month. It's a joke to us, but in honor of that, I definitely want to power to the people, man. Give them the roll call. You know, set yourself up.
So yeah, man, being a Rasta man and not being a Caribbean person born, a lot of times people question me for many, many years. Well, why are you into this? What is this attraction to this thing? How can you defend this? And for me, it was so easy, it was so natural, it was such a natural progression. I never saw no separation from day one when I first understood, because it has to be in you to begin with. So, a lot of places I travel, people will step to me and ask me, well, who you? Who you think you are? How you come about this? And I'm just humble and blessed that the spirit of the ancestor, I have a channel through dealing with African theology. When you deal with African theology, the first thing you learn is respect for the ancestor. And the ancestor as a living entity come through you, Marcus Garvey. You know, we have all these ancestors, contemporary ancestors, ancient ancestors that we can call upon. Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, we can call upon all of them that's on the other side.
Tosh's birthday the other day, 24th.
You see, everything in the right place. So people would always ask me, say, well, what's your reference point? And I had to think about it, but because there were so many, and I thought about the roll call, the Rasta. And I started with art and music, because that's my thing, what I know. You know, so I would start with the 1900s, you know, my century. You know, I was born in the century. So I would start with the great jazz musician Illinois Jacquet. And I would come down through, like, you know, Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, Louis Armstrong, Dizzy Gillespie, Fats Domino, and, you know, Billie Holiday, Charlie Parker, you know, Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, you know, Lightning Hopkins, and I could go for hours and hours and hours and hours. You know, people would try to get me to qualify myself. And I'm walking on the backs of the spirits of millions of Africans who resisted from the very first slave that they brought to America, who resisted. We always hear about the ones that assimilated, the domesticated ones. They never want to tell you about those that resist. That's what the avant-garde is, a fancy word that we use on the street to understand that. Where I come from, we don't even like the word jazz. We say that's a European definition of an African situation that we don't need no one to define for us or put me in no box with no definition. This is world music. My community is the world. Where I travel, you know, it's many cultures. I walk among them, keep my mouth shut, and look like a native. And I cherish this fact. It's a humbling truth, Rasta. As a Rasta man, you know, traveling throughout the African world and the diaspora, you get so much respect as a Rasta man. So I have to always give my due respect to all them brothers that come from this little island.
The roll call.
What I did, the roll call so long, it never ends.
I know, give it some more. We want more.
I'm giving you can do the research. You want to be lazy, you want me to give it all. I gave you the tenet of which, this is how Dr. Ben taught us, Rasta.
So I gave you... don't know who Dr. Ben is.
Dr. Yusef Ben Yohanan is one of our most articulate intellectuals and historians. Dr. Yusef Ben Yohanan. He's an Ethiopian-born an Ethiopian parent and a Caribbean parent. Born in Africa, studied and speaks Arabic, Amharic, Hebrew, 20-some languages, has PhD degree. He's our elder teacher, has been writing books since the early 50s, 60s.
He's an ancestor now.
He's an ancestor now, Rasta.
I say.
But there's many brethren out there that's doing this.
I have a lot of young people who listen to my show, like in their 20s. Right. They're clueless.
Right. So well, you can go to any black bookstore and ask for Dr. Ben, and if they're worth their weight, they'll point you in the right direction. So yeah, that's where you start at. You know, there's Chancellor Williams, you know, there's Ivan Van Sertima, there's Dr. Ben, there's John Henry Clark. These are our elders. And there's many, many more too, Rasta, you know. So, you know, as you go in through Jamaica, you find the intellectual elders who resisted assimilation, domestication, and defined their own culture, their own experiences through the art, through the music.
Their own reality.
Right. So this is the roll call. So the artists that did that, like the Dizzy Gillespie's, the Coltrane, that influenced everybody, even in the motherland, all through the Caribbean. So when people ask me how can I do this music, bro, what are you talking about? No division, it's all one and the same. And then if you want to challenge, then we just go down the roll call. So the African first, only born here in America.
And what's your instrument?
I play the baritone saxophone exclusively now. I play a little guitar, a little other things, but baritone is my voice, you know. And for many years I started playing the saxophone in high school. And
I would love for you to come to Chop Chop and record with us.
I would love to come to Chop Chop and record.
We have the place for you to stay, everything.
Oh, beautiful.
You don't have to come down.
I would definitely take up on that invitation.
Our recording studio, we say we're open 24 hours, but you know we're Rasta. We're not open on 24 hours. But we do be in there making some music and chopping it up. And we love our elders. Yeah. And Daddy Sizzler's there. You could kick it with Daddy Sizzler and make some music. Yeah. And I want to make a meditation CD.
Well, you know, man, I think my best thing is a writer. You know, I've got material.
You just come and chop it up any way you want to.
So yeah, man.
Anyway.
Anyway. But you know, in the 70s, man, I was up in San Francisco, Berkeley, Bay Area.
Father Chop knows. I'm saying this in John Marcus's voice. I know. He will roll out the red, green carpet for you, Rasta. Yeah. Because you've been killing them. You see the symbol? Mm-hmm. This was given to me by Peter Tosh's brother. Mm-hmm. The logo is two swords that we can't bomb them, we can't kill them. But we're going to chop it up with word, sound, and power. And you've been doing that since I met you. You were the first person that told me the word.
Well, see, now that's an interesting point, because this is what attracted me to Rasta, coming from jazz. Let me tell you how I made the connection from jazz to Rasta, from progressive militant jazz. Rahsaan Roland Kirk. Rahsaan Roland Kirk wrote a song called Blackness. BLACKNUSS, Blackness, and he played it only on the black keys, which is a minor. 1963. Wow. Check out Rahsaan Roland Kirk, Rasta. Elders, Rasta. You know, we all linked. You got to know the history, Rasta. You know, and our history is greater than our neighborhood. You understand? I'm not going to be limited by no neighborhood. When I have a whole big continent that you can fit most of the other continents in, that is the mother of all creation, roots of creation.
Well, thank you for that roll call.
Yeah.
Chopping it up. All right.